Quantum creation is about creating your life from potential and possibility from a higher frequency than what you are currently looking at. And what that takes is a higher level of energy. What that actually takes is creativity, wonder, curiosity, imagination, going beyond yourself, going beyond your current circumstances, and playing in the field, in the quantum field of possibility and potential. Most of us focus on what we don't want to create, and therefore we get more of what we don't want. And we're always caught in this loop again of finding a problem, fixing it, finding a problem, fixing it, finding a problem, fixing it. What about just creating what you want? What about like leaving that old model of reality behind?
Welcome to Winning the Divine Lottery. I'm your host, Amy Dons.
Hi, everyone. Beautiful souls. Welcome back to today's episode. I'm really inspired for today. I heard a quote this morning, and just with it being Christmas right around the corner and me experiencing like the Christmas spirit like 3 weeks ago, I just feel like I've come alive. And then I hear this quote. You guys might know it. It's by Howard Thurman. Don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And that is my inspiration for today's episode. What is it that makes you come alive? And how can you do that every single day? How can you be that every single day? And how can you infuse it into everything that you be and do in your day? And this is it for me. This is it. Like me getting to be inspired to come on here to share this quote with you. If I could do this podcast totally Amy style, it would start with a dance party. It would start with a song that's just in my heart and that is inspiring me right now. And we'd all be getting up, dancing, and having so much fun and letting this aliveness, this energy, like literally change us, transform us in this moment. If I could do that, I totally would. I really want to start a podcast with a dance party. If you ever work with me one-on-one or in any of my coaching programs, we start like that. I love music. I have something called the Universe's Playlist, which is Discover Weekly on Spotify, but it's so cool. Like I look forward to Mondays, and I'm actually recording this on a Monday because I never know what songs are going to show up. Sometimes they're amazing and sometimes they're not, but I look forward to it. It's like this anticipation of like what is Spotify going to pick for me this week based on my listening last week, right? It's just so incredible. And actually, that's like a great segue into how we create our futures. Because whatever we are doing today, whatever we are doing in this moment, whoever we are being, whatever energy we are bringing forth in this moment is creating our future. And so if you want to create your future, a future that is bright and alive and vibrant and filled with amazing experiences, then every single day, it's about being in that energy. It's about deliberately creating that energy. And there's something new that I've been doing consistently on my morning walks, and I'm going to share it with you because I am here to give and serve, share my wisdom, leave everything on the table, and you guys can choose what works for you, what you want to play with. And I really want you to invite you into this space of this is the divine lottery, which means life is a divine game. It's a playground. And if we come from the place of play and curiosity and wonder, then we don't get so serious about everything, right? So play with these things that I'm sharing with you. Play with this. So every morning on my walk, I talk out loud to the universe. And I don't say what I don't like about my life. I don't share my problems. I get on this like rampage of, oh, I love how this is happening, and I love how this is happening, and I love how these experiences are coming into my life. I am creating my future based on what I love. And that's how organically and naturally, like it comes through my language, as I end up saying, oh, and I love this. And you know what it actually does is in that walking. I am speaking, I'm using words of affirmation to speak life into my future. That's my paintbrush. And it's like a my day is a blank canvas and I am painting possibilities. Because in the quantum, this is how we create from the quantum. In the quantum, all possibilities exist. So why not give yourself 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 10 minutes to use your words to paint possibilities? And the way I do it, it's invigorating. It invokes a spark of aliveness, of energy that is life-giving. Like I'm giving myself life and it makes me feel good. And I'm not attached to like what shows up. But the thing is, things start showing up. Things start showing up on the outside because of how I'm being, how I'm using my energy to create my life, to take my paintbrush, which in that moment are my words, right? And not just my words, but how I'm using my words, how I'm being with my words, the energy behind them, the frequency, the vibration. And as I go, it just keeps expanding and expanding. And then I get like a little kid in a candy store. I'm like, oh, and like that is my energy. And that is the energy of like what's possible. Like if you think about a child, right? That sees something, their eyes like bulge out of their head and they get this big grin on their face and it's just something that delights them. They that's like the kid in the candy store energy, right? And if you build yourself up to that space, and then you just let it go and you go on about your day. It's incredible what starts to show up in your life. So, the fact that this quote showed up for me this morning, as I feel like I've just been coming more alive and alive and alive. And you know what? Age is irrelevant. Your history is irrelevant. Your current circumstances are irrelevant. They are not fixed states. They are things that appear to be real based on how you have been creating in your life up until this point. And you can choose to change that at any time in your life. And that's why I'm so excited to share this with you right now. It is actually so simple, it's super easy, but, and it's just different. It's uncomfortable sometimes because if we don't like what we're looking at, our brain has been conditioned and we've been conditioned to fix the problem. We've been conditioned to look at the thing that we don't like and see how we can fix it. And the thing is, there's always something to be fixed. The once you fix one thing, there's something else, and then there's something else, and then there's something else, and then there's something else. So that is the survival mechanism that the brain does and how we create our lives basically by finding problems and fixing them. Yeah, not for me. No thanks. I've been there, I've done that. Quantum creation is about creating your life from potential and possibility from a higher frequency than what you are currently looking at. And what that takes is a higher level of energy. What that actually takes is creativity, wonder, curiosity, imagination, going beyond yourself, going beyond your current circumstances, and playing in the field, in the quantum field of possibility and potential. I'm going to share a really simple metaphor with you. I love metaphors, they really help me when understanding something. And so, If they help me, I know they're going to help somebody who's listening here today. So, a really simple metaphor is like, say you have the quantum field is like nothingness, it's just empty space, it's darkness, okay? And then all of a sudden, you have a thought. And a thought actually has a currency. It's an electromagnetic currency. It holds a certain frequency, right? And you're the one that actually brings it to life based on your attention and your focus, and then the feeling that comes by you observing that thought. So that sparks a light, right? In the quantum field, in this darkness. And we're going to call that light a box. That box represents a potential and a possibility. So, whatever it is that you are wanting to create, not wanting to create, that was a little bit of a tongue twister, okay? Most of us focus on what we don't want to create, and therefore we get more of what we don't want. And we're always caught in this loop again of finding a problem, fixing it, finding a problem, fixing it, finding a problem, fixing it. What about just creating what you want? What about like leaving that old model of reality behind and just creating what you want to experience, creating what you want to feel in your life? Because then you're not attached to a certain outcome and an experience. You're actually already creating the feeling that that experience or that thing perhaps might give you, and you're already in it. You're already embodying it. And then guess what? That potential and that possibility is like another box that gets created in this darkness. And it now has to come to you. You're the one that draws it in because you created the feeling. And the feeling is like this light of inspiration inside of you because you did it. Nothing outside of you did it. You created that feeling. Hey there, I just wanted to take a moment to share something that's really close to my heart. My book, God's Dog: How to See the Gift of Life in All Experiences, is about finding meaning in even the hardest moments. It's inspired by my dog, Jersey, and the profound lessons she taught me through love, loss, and transformation. If you're looking for a book that invites you to see life through a more beautiful lens, I'd love for you to check it out. You can find it on Amazon. Thanks so much for allowing me to share this little piece of my heart with you. There are infinite boxes. There are infinite boxes in the universe. And what we tend to do is we kind of live in a few boxes most of the time. We live in the box of lack. We live in a box of not enough. Well, that's lack too. We just tend to live in certain boxes and we don't ever leave the box and create a new one. Unless something huge happens in our life, like a huge transition or illness or trauma, something like that. But what we actually have the powerful ability to do is to create a new box without having to have something huge in our life happen. And once you're on sort of this spiritual awakening path, I do feel that this is part of what we start to journey inwards for and understand that we're not our body, we're not our story, we're not our emotions, we're not our mind. Our body is designed to do what it does. Our mind is designed to do what it does. Our emotions are designed to do what it does. But we are not that. We are actually loving awareness of all of that. And once you start to play with that, if you put your loving awareness on something new that you want your personality, your human to experience that, excuse me, that changes the game. That changes the game. Now you're looking at this like Excuse me, I just need a drink of water. You're looking at this vast field of potential and possibility, and you put your play clothes on, and you're like, huh, I wonder what's here. I wonder what would be cool to experience. I wonder what I want to expand more into. Because everything that we want is how we're going to expand. So I'll give you an example. Um, let's say you've always struggled with money. Money is such an easy one to use because almost everybody has, or should I say, everyone has struggled with money in some regard, right? So let's say you've struggled with money, you've only ever made maybe 75,000 a year. That's the most you've ever made. And it's always been through your job. Okay? So an expansion of you would be experiencing receiving more money outside of your job. Because right now you live in a box where your only experience that you know is I make $75,000 through my job. So I exchange my time and my services for this amount of income, right? And that's the limit. That's the lid on the box. A new expanded version of you would be the version of you who would actually experience making more than $75,000 outside of that job. So when we want something, it's actually because we want expansion. We want to experience a more expanded version of us because our soul, on a soul level, we know we aren't caged by the personality. We know that we are created from energy, and energy really can't be contained unless we observe it there, unless we literally are containing our energy in one certain box. We know on a soul level that we are here for the expansion. And because in the quantum field, there is limitlessness, literally limitless possibilities and potentials, the soul wants to expand. It wants to experience expansion through you, through your human form, through your five senses. And the only way to do that is to experience something that you've never experienced before. That is called the unknown. So I don't know why we fear it so much because the unknown, when we're experiencing something that expands us, we grow, we gain wisdom, we, with expansion comes freedom. Truly, think about expanding. You expand, I always use this metaphor too. It's like a plant that you need to repot because it's grown so big that it no longer fits in that pot. That pot does not serve its expansion anymore. So look around at your life and feel what contracts you. Look at your house. Look at your relationships. Look at your thoughts. Look at your habits. What out of those things are contracting you? Because that is an indication and such a potential for expansion. There is something that if you gain insight in that, that there is so much potential for expansion in your life, it would blow your mind. And with expansion, we liberate energy. And when we liberate energy from one box into the quantum, into the unknown, guess what happens? The quote that I read, we come alive. So the fastest way to expand is to start choosing the things that make you come alive. No matter how ridiculous they are, no matter if you get paid for them right now. Um, Again, me talking like this makes me come alive. I could have conversations like this all day long. One of the other things that makes me come alive is playing with possibility of giving, of being generous. And I've talked about this on another episode, but one of my favorite things is like having this unknown experience of this waitress, and just for whatever reason I was called to like pick your tip and she didn't pick anything, and I was like, she didn't pick anything. Now I was on this mission to ask as many waitresses or waiters to pick their tip because I wanted to see what people would choose for themselves. Because here I'm literally giving them again, guess what the paintbrush is? The opportunity I gave them. Pick your tip. That was the paintbrush. All they had to do was choose. They could have chosen whatever they want. And it was so much fun playing this game that I'll share something with you. I was just out Friday night. I took my son out for a dinner date. I went to one of my favorite restaurants, and it's a restaurant where I've tipped very well in. And it was very, very busy, and our waitress only came to our table once the entire hour we were there. And she would like, it was interesting. I was just watching. She was like going to every other table, but just bypassing us. And my son devoured his burger and he wanted dessert. And I was like just getting started on my meal, basically. And, anyways, I am not one to complain. However, I have learned something that when something is not up to your standard, if you don't use your voice and share and bring it to somebody else's awareness, they'll never know about it, right? So, um, he wanted dessert, and we got to the point where we were waiting 25 minutes. I was like, "Do you really want this dessert? Like, we could go anywhere for dessert." And so he actually chose something else. I was like, "Okay." So then we were still waiting to see if she would come and bring us our bill. We were long done by then, and nothing. So I was like, "Let's just go. I'm gonna put on my coat." I walked over. To where I could pay, and it was a different lady there. And I just shared with her, I said, we really just want to pay. We're done our meal. Our waitress only came to our table once. I understand that she's busy, but he wanted dessert. I mean, they would have got more money out of us, right? So she's like, what table were you at? And she looked back and forth and she's like, don't worry about it. It's on us. So I had this moment, you guys, of being so aware of how uncomfortable I felt because I felt guilty, because I didn't want her to get into trouble, because I understand we all have off days. Like, that's how much of a compassionate person I am. And yet, the universe was going, here, Amy, it's coming back to you now. All those times that you gave so abundantly, now here, the meals being paid for by the universe. And it was really uncomfortable for me to receive that. It really, truly was. So, it's the whole point of sharing this story with you is one of my favorite things is to give generously, but I also love receiving. And I'm still aware that it's very uncomfortable for me to receive, especially under those circumstances, right? Like I would much prefer receiving under like joy and, fun. But sometimes we have to be willing to bring something to somebody's awareness and attention. That is not complaining. So find, find, find what it is that makes you come alive. Just this morning, before I was getting ready, I threw a load of laundry in, and there was a song that played on my Universes playlist. And I was like, if you would have saw me, you would either join me in the dance party or you would have looked at me like I was crazy. And either way, I wouldn't have cared. I was literally acting as if like the whole world was mine and everybody was watching me. And I was dancing to this song like I was the main character in the movie of my life. And I could have cared less about getting ready to record this podcast because I was just being in the present moment. The present moment is so generous. If you give yourself up to it over and over again, that's where the unknown, that's where the unexpected shows up. This world, this this life is so abundant, And the thing is, if you've lived in a couple boxes most of your life, most likely you understand that this universe is lacking things. And it's lacking things because you're always having to find a problem and then fix it, right? But if you just start to slowly change your focus from lack to possibility, from lack to potential, from lack to abundance, from lack to the generous present moment, you will find what you're looking for. You will find the gifts, you will find the blessings, you will find the miracles, you will find the things that make you come alive. And with that, I'm going to close for today. There's so many transformational takeaways from this episode. I think the ones that I would just love to recap really, really quickly right now is do the thing that makes you come alive and don't have any attachment to it. Do it without attachment to results, anything like that. Just do it. Do it because it makes you come alive. And if you have alive energy, which is life force, it's called vitality, your life will change. Okay? The second thing is if you go for a walk, if you don't go for a walk, start talking out loud and start talking out loud from a place of possibility and potential and creating the things that you love in your life. The third thing is reflect. What kind of boxes have you been keeping yourself contained in? And then look around your life and see, look for the things that feel very constricting, very rigid, very contracted because, and get excited. Get excited when you find them because that is how much potential for expansion that you have. I love you, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks so much for listening. If you found this episode of any value, please share it with a friend. Thank you.